What is up, students? Hope you're having a great week so far. Welcome to content drop for, post 4th of July week. As you know, we've been in this series called Subject to Change for the last 3 weeks, and Allison shared last week. And speaking of subject to change and things changing, we're going to change a little bit of the way we do our content starting this week as well. So I want to tell you about that, and then we'll get into it. As student ministry, we've kind of had our own series and subjects that are really important to us that we've talked through, but of late, we've really realized probably the best thing for us right now is to join in the conversation as a church as a whole. Meaning, like Pastor Matt speaks and we have big church, and sometimes what we're talking about isn't the same as what Pastor Matt's talking about. We want to change that for this season and all get around the same conversation together. Sometimes I get to speak in big church and sometimes it's Pastor Matt or Pastor Scott, but we've had such a great conversation going that I want us as a student ministry to join into that now. So starting this week, we're just going to simply listen to the message on Sunday, connect it to kind of a student perspective and a student context, and just talk about it. And so I'm going to kick that off even this week. So our new series is really the series that we're in as a big church. And it's called Renewed, about having a renewed heart, a renewed passion, a renewed mind, that God is doing something new. And Pastor Matt this week, if you didn't get a chance to watch it, you can go to themet.church and you can watch his message. But every week for these next few weeks, we're just going to have a dialogue around what was talked about on Sunday. And he said that God is wanting to make all things new. And I think it's such a great bridge from what we've been talking about in Subject to Change. And he brought up Isaiah 43. And so I just want to give a couple quick summary notes around that if I can for a minute. And then as your small group, we're going to talk about the message from Sunday. Some of your small groups, y'all have already been doing this. We're just kind of catching up as a whole. But he shared from Isaiah 43. And here was the amazing thing. Just even as we think about the world we're in right now and just everything that's going on with COVID, obviously we're very aware, but listen to these words from Isaiah 43. He says, "Fear not, because I have redeemed you and called you by name. You are mine." Some of us right now just need to be reminded that we're his. We're God's kids, that God is in control, that God knows what he's doing, and we belong to him. We don't need to fear. Verse 2, that when you pass through deep waters, that is when there's trouble, I will be with you. What a great promise. Through the rivers, they will not overwhelm you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned, and the flame will not consume you, because I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel and your Savior. I could just keep reading. There's so much good stuff here. If you have some time, read Isaiah 43 this week. But he goes all the way to verses 18 and 19, and that's where I want to camp just for a minute together. It says this, in verse 18, "Remember not the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." One of the things as I was leading worship Sunday that I said, I want to reiterate here. I've heard so many of you, and I've said it, and so many have said it. When do we get to go back? Right? When do we get to go back to how things were? How do we get to, on Wednesday nights at TheMIX, and how do we get to be back with our friends and all those things? And I get it. Like, all of us want a lot of things to go back to how they were. But maybe, even in this passage, God is saying, hey, don't think about how things were as what the ultimate goal is, that we need to get everything just back to how it was. I am actually doing something new. I'm doing something new in you. In this quarantine, it's bringing out some stuff in me. I'm like wrestling through some stuff in my own quiet room here, not getting to hang out with you guys, but it's a good thing. But also he's doing a new thing in our student ministry, and he's doing a new thing in your life as some things are taken away. It's causing us to realize, like, what is important in God? What are you calling me to? And what do you want to do in me that we need to embrace new? Not worry about the former and what was, but maybe there's opportunity right now of a new future, of God wanting to do new things. And so that's the discussion for this week is, God, what are you doing in the midst of all this? What's something new that's happened right in the quarantine season that maybe you want to carry out in and through me long after? Those are the discussion questions we're going to talk about as a small group this week based on what Pastor Matt said. And for the next several weeks, we're just going to simply come to church, be a part of church, worship with our families on Sunday mornings. That is, for this season, the mix, okay? I know you're like, oh, I don't want to do that with the adults. It's going to be great, all right? And we are going to pay attention to what Pastor Matt's saying or whoever's speaking on Sundays and dialogue about that every single week. It's going to be great. So join me this week, and we even have a reading plan based on this. It's from the pastor of Hillsong. He has a plan on new rivers and roads, which is based on this passage. I think it'll be a great thing to study through this week if you don't have anything to read. Stay connected to each other. It's a big deal. We love you. We miss you. We will be together soon. Have a great week.